Can you believe it, guys? We finally made it to week 26, otherwise known as Smash Ultimate's launch week. It came out yesterday, or today at the time we're recording this, yesterday for most people in North America. And yeah, the game's out, we're all finally playing it, which is super exciting, and I'm sure we'll have a lot more to talk about that once we get toward the end of the discussion. Real quick, I want to get a quick hype check from you guys. How do you feel about finally having Smash Bros. Ultimate in your hands right now?
It almost doesn't feel real.
It's surreal, isn't it?
Yeah, like it almost...
it's surreal.
Yeah, we've been waiting what feels like so long for it, even though really the hype cycle's been truncated this time, because it was really only about 6 months, and so even though we weren't waiting as long, it still feels like we were, and it hasn't really quite registered to me that it's out, and it's in my hands, and I'm playing it.
Yeah. There's so much content too. I barely feel like I've scratched the surface, and I've been playing non-stop more or less since I got my copy, and there's just so much stuff packed into this game. It is absolutely worthy of that ultimate moniker.
Absolutely agree, and I like the fact that I can take my time with it. As John said, there's a lot of content here. I definitely haven't scratched the surface at all. I haven't even touched World of Light yet. I've been going through Classic Mode and seeing what characters I unlock.
It must be nice taking your time.
Yeah, I know.
Derek.
That's the funny thing, is I think I made out the best deal out of all of you guys, because you're the ones that gathering all this footage, doing all this stuff to put up those videos. I'm just the one putting it together, so I'm seeing all of it, but I don't feel the grind of unlocking it all. And yeah, listening to stories, seeing people talk, it's a heck of a grind to get every character.
Yeah, word to the wise, don't play all 70 plus classic modes in a row. Don't ever do that. Like, I've been doing that for the compilation of our classic mode images, and yeah, that's basically been my last 24 hours, is just playing nothing but classic mode, and it's a bit of a grind if you do it one after another, just a bit.
Yep, just a bit. Well, we'll have more to say about Smash Bros. Ultimate, I'm sure, at the end of this discussion, or toward the end. Before then, though, we have some, before we even get to this week's blog updates, we have another one we need to get to, a Day Zero update, if you will, because for whatever reason, the North American blog never covered Game & Watch, despite the fact that it was covered on the Japanese blog last week. So we were hoping it was going to be added this week, and that never happened. So we're going to talk about him right now, which means we don't even have an entry for him besides a poorly translated version of the Japanese one. So we're not even going to bother with it. In fact, this week's probably going to be a little bit different because we've all been able to play most of these characters anyway, or some of them. So we probably won't be doing the usual, like, breakdowns and whatnot. We'll just dive into our thoughts on the characters. So starting off with Game & Watch, this was my main in Smash Bros. Brawl, and I think even Wii U. So I love this guy, and I love what they've done to him for the most part in Smash Bros. Ultimate. They reference more of his classic moves by updating the sprite to actually appear from those games, sometimes to almost too much of a degree, which was fixed in the Day 1 patch. He just has even more personality now, which is just great. The only drawback I've noticed so far is that his turtle move, his back aerial, isn't as strong as it used to be. Like, that used to be a finisher, and now it seems kind of weak, so that really crushed me. But I do love his new up aerial, where he sends like a Mega Man-like tornado into the sky, and also he now drops a bomb, I think for his right tilt, is that right? Or his right aerial? I can't remember which. Overall, Game & Watch is great.
Yeah, I've never been a big Game & Watch player myself, but I really appreciate all the changes they made to him, and I wasn't expecting them. I mean, it almost feels like Game & Watch has more or less been a copy-paste from game to game. I know that's not actually true, of course.
Well, that's kind of fitting for Game & Watch, isn't it?
Yeah, it's true, but like, I kind of expected him to look the same in this game as he has in all the other games that he's been in, and no, it feels like they did more to update Game & Watch than quite a few other characters in terms of giving him all new sprites, like you said, Andre, and it goes a long way toward making him feel a lot more unique than he did before.
Yeah, I agree with Ash there. I've always appreciated Game & Watch, but he's never really been my favourite. And I think that's probably because he kind of lacked personality in the old games, because he was just that static sprite, which it is quite fitting, because that is what the Game & Watch era was like, but they've given him a lot more personality. And yeah, it really gets you like appreciating where all these moves come from, because they're not all from one game. They vary across multiple Game & Watch systems. So yeah, it's really cool to see them acknowledge that with this new version of Game & Watch. And yeah, I feel a bit more compelled to use him now. He's just a lot more interesting.
No, you stay away. He's mine.
Says the guy who plays Mega Man sometimes.
You can keep Mr. Game & Watch. I kind of echo Ash and John, where I never really used him a ton. Like, I could pull him out and have some fun, and you throw people off with some of his moves, but he never became a favorite. But as they said, I love how they've updated him to include those sprites from the classic games, because I played a lot of these. Like, I owned a few Game & Watches as a kid, and that was a blast from the past when he was first introduced, and really cool. But ever since then, they never really did anything else with him. As they said, as you guys said, it was just sort of a copy and paste job. So to see him finally get some love and care is great to see, and I kind of doubt he's going to become a main, but it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to hear you guys say that he didn't have much personality. I feel like he had almost some of the most personality, or maybe not personality, but one of the most distinctive looks about him that kind of compensated for maybe the lack of personality. Because especially in Smash Bros. Melee, he was so different from every other character at the time, and I think he still stands out for that reason. So that's why I think he's actually one of my favorites among, at least in terms of just appearance, along with like Wii Fit Trainer, because they both just really stand out compared to the rest of the cast, which is something I appreciate about Game & Watch. So, well, let's go ahead and move on to the official start of the week for North America, being Day 1, Sunday, where we got a character overview for Bayonetta. The description reads, an Umbra witch who equips guns in her arms and legs. Bayonetta has mastered the beautiful but brutal bullet arts fighting style. She can even slow down her opponents with witch time. So what's cool about Bayonetta for me is that I barely dabbled with the DLC on Smash Bros. Wii U, so this is like a whole other newcomer to me in Smash Bros. Ultimate, and I forgot how different she feels. I mean, especially going up against her, like those smash attacks of hers, where like the hand comes out of that vortex, is just brutal.
I played this quite a bit in Wii U, and never like to the extent that a lot of competitive players do, because obviously Bayonetta has a reputation for being kind of broken in Smash Wii U. And I wasn't really feeling that in Ultimate. Like, she's definitely a strong character with a lot of unique moves, like slowing down time and all those really strong smash attacks, but she doesn't feel anywhere near as overpowered as she did in Smash Wii U. And I'm not really sure exactly where I'm pinpointing that on, because her moves are still the same, but they just don't feel quite as strong as they used to. But she still does have, you know, a very strong vibe about her, though. They've balanced her they've met a very strong balance with Bayonetta, I feel, in Ultimate.
Yeah, as I understand it, she's been nerfed pretty heavily, to the point where some Bayonetta mains in Wii U are complaining that she's been nerfed too much, and I'm like, no way, she really needed it. Like, she was so broken in Smash Wii U. And it's funny that you mentioned her smash attacks, Andre, because those Wicked Weave attacks, that's part of what's been nerfed. Like, her smash attacks, if you think they're good now, go back in Smash 4 and try them, because they do more damage and more knockback in that game. And one other thing that's been fixed about her, in my opinion, is her witch time, where the amount of slowdown the opponent is hit with is directly based on the power of the move that you use witch time on. So if it's like a really high-powered smash, you get a longer witch time. But if it's like a really weak move, then the opponent's slowed down for only like a moment. So it just feels like some things have been done to kind of, you know, bring Bayonetta down to the level of the other fighters, and I think that's really good, because that makes her enjoyable for her uniqueness still, but not only enjoyable because she's so OP.
Mm-hmm. And that's an interesting balance to strike, because I've yet to unlock her, but I have fought her a few times, and she is definitely still as tricky as she ever was, but you can get a sense that she's maybe not as powerful as before, and that's fine. And I really appreciate that her Bayonetta 2 look is still her Player 1 look, because I think she looks so much better in that game than she does in the original Bayonetta. Still great that it's there, but yeah, that's just what I prefer. And I don't have a lot to say about her, honestly. I think she's good, but like Andre, I didn't even really play her much in Smash Wii U. I played her a few times, and it just didn't click for me, so I just kind of moved on to other characters.
It does kind of feel like, in her Wii U DLC form, it kind of feels like she was made for Ultimate. Like, a lot of her moves transfer really well over to Ultimate, and just even her looks, like her model looks kind of identical between the two games. Mm-hmm. So I think you kind of get that vibe with a lot of the DLC characters. Like, their final smashes feel kind of tailored to this more cinematic style for Ultimate. So I kind of feel like maybe they made her like with Ultimate
John,
in
you may
mind.
actually be onto something with what you said, because we now know from one of Sakurai's columns that the project plan for Smash Ultimate was completed about 2 or 3 months before Corrin and Bayonetta were released for Smash 4. So they may very well have designed Bayonetta with Smash Ultimate in mind, literally.
Oh, wow.
All right, well, let's go ahead and move on to Day 2, being a character overview for Roy. The description reads, get up close and personal for major damage. Unlike Marth, Roy's attacks are more powerful the closer you get to the base of his sword. For his final smash, his sword bursts into flames and sends anyone caught in the blast flying. So I haven't had much of a chance to use Roy too much yet, so perhaps you guys can speak more to him and any changes he may have incurred. since Wii U.
It's weird to have two Roys in Smash now.
Oh, yeah.
So we've got the Koopaling Roy and now the Fire Emblem Roy.
Wait, was Roy not Wii U?
Oh yeah, he was.
He was, yeah. Sorry, So we have two Roys in Smash, which is just so bizarre.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He was pretty significantly changed from his Melee appearance when he was put into Wii U, because he doesn't feel exactly like Marth anymore, even beyond just his fact that he's more powerful at the base of his sword. And I like the change. I like his updated design. I like how they sort of made him feel different. He's a fun character, and he actually became one of my favorites. I actually, for the longest time, preferred Roy over Marth in Smash Melee.
How do you feel about his English voice, Derek?
I was just getting to that. But when I first heard it, it sounded a little too deep. At least as far as those I believe taunts or maybe his victory animations. But I think over time I started getting used to it. It's that initial jarring experience, and then you find out that it came out today that his voice actor in this game is. I believe Noctis's voice actor from Final Fantasy 15.
Oh, Ray Chase.
Ray Chase. Ray
Chase.
Chase is playing
Nice.
Roy, and it's like, okay, that works, sure, why not? I got Ray, got Roy, sure, that works, and I like that they gave him that English voice. It's just, as Palutena's guidance mentions, he's only 15 years old, and that's at least 18.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Mega Man problem, where like in Mega Man 11, he had a voice that was a little too deep for the character, in my opinion, but the Japanese voice sounds like a kid, and that's the same thing here with Roy. Is his English voice is good, it's fine, there's nothing wrong with it really, but it just doesn't fit the character and his age, in my opinion. So I actually do still prefer the Japanese voice, but I don't hate the English voice or anything. But I will echo what you were saying, Derek, to a point. I actually didn't like Roy in Melee, but I really liked him with all the changes he had made to him in Smash 4 and beyond. So I basically never played him back in Melee, but then I started playing him in Smash 4's DLC, and I really liked him. And the same goes for here in Ultimate. He's a lot of fun to play. I actually enjoy playing him more than Marth. And I really like getting up in my opponent's face and like trying to hit with the hilt of the blade or the base of the blade, as opposed to spacing with Marth and trying to get those tippers. I don't know. I like Roy's kind of in your face, just right up in your face kind of playstyle.
In Melee, I didn't know who Marth or Roy were, so to me they were just these two swordsmen, and Marth was kind of like the vanilla one of the two, because Roy had everything was on fire.
Exactly.
That's just inherently more exciting than just this guy with the sword. So I found Roy more exciting in Melee, and I guess I've kind of stuck with him since. I always found Marth as a bit of a Gary Sue, because he's just very vanilla, and whereas Roy, everything is on fire with him, which is inherently more exciting than Marth.
Good luck landing his charged attack though, because they have to just roll right into it. But unfortunately his standard special is basically useless.
I have to. One of my favorite combos with Roy in Smash 4 was his down throw into his up B, and it works like on every character at low enough percent. So I haven't gotten to try that in Ultimate yet, but I'm still really hoping he has that almost guaranteed combo.
Yeah, it's awesome.
All right, moving on to a second update for the day, which actually came first, but we're doing things, we're freewheeling it here today on the launch of Smash Bros. Ultimate. We have an assist trophy overview for Tiki. The description reads, Tiki is a Manakate, I hope I got that, a race of Dragonkin. While she usually stays a human form, she can transform into a fire-breathing dragon using the power of a dragon stone. She doesn't look it, but Tiki is over 1,000 years old. So yeah, she does look pretty good for her age. Have you guys encountered Tiki yet in Smash Ultimate?
I haven't.
I have, and she's
a couple
terrifying.
times, yeah.
She's one of the largest assist trophies. When she comes out, she's like Rathlos size. She starts off as a regular-sized human, and then she turns into this giant dragon and just starts breathing fire absolutely everywhere. It's so intimidating.
Yeah, she looks really cool. I don't have a lot of personal affinity for her myself because I haven't played the Fire Emblem game she's from, so I don't have like a point of reference for her as a character, but she's super cool in Ultimate as an assist trophy, and as John said, she's really intimidating because she takes up so much screen space. She's huge. So it's really cool to see her here. I know she's a really popular character among Fire Emblem fans, so I can only assume that the Fire Emblem fan base is happy to see her here.
Yeah, she's kind of an important character because she was in the original Fire Emblem as well, where she was more of a, like, her appearance was more kid-like. And then she reappeared in Awakening, which takes place, hundreds of years later, where she has this more adult form that you see for this assist trophy. So this is her Awakening appearance. And while I never reached her at that point, there is, like, significance behind this character. So it's a good choice for a second Fire Emblem assist trophy along with Lyn. They're sort of recognizing a lot of the more popular elements. And the nice thing with Tiki is they kill two birds with one stone by representing two games. And I'm looking forward to checking her out, because I had, like, looking at the screens, I had no idea she's as big as you guys say.
Oh, yeah. I also appreciate that she's very different to other Fire Emblem representation in this game. Because, yeah, even on the fighters, a lot of them are just people with swords. And there's another Fire Emblem assist trophy, the Knight, who just goes around. He's just a heavy guy with the sword. So
yeah,
the Black Knight. He hits like a truck.
Oh, yeah, the Black Knight, yeah. Yeah. So it's great that Tiki is literally just this giant dragon.
Alright, let's go ahead and move on to day 3, where we have a couple updates for the day as well, starting off with a new music track, being the How to Play arrangement from Super Smash Bros. Melee. Ash, do you want to give us a rundown on this track?
Yeah, so this was rearranged by Motoi Sakuraba, who is a Japanese composer, arranger, and keyboardist known for many contributions to video games, anime, and more. He's worked on plenty of games in his career, such as the Star Ocean series, various Tales of games, the Golden Sun series, Mario Tennis, and Mario Golf for Game Boy, the Valkyrie Profile series, Eternal Sonata, the Dark Souls series, and Mario Tennis Aces, and more. He has also contributed quite a few rearrangements to Smash before, especially in Brawl, including the menu rearrangement from Smash Bros. Melee, Airship theme from Mario 3, Jungle Level version 2 from Donkey Kong Country, Gourmet Race from Kirby Superstar, Victory Road from Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, the Mario Tennis and Golf mashup, and the Battle Scene and Final Boss matchup from Golden Sun. He also contributed 3 rearrangements to Smash 4, being the theme from Area 6 Missile Slipstream mashup from Star Fox 64 and Command, Battle Team Flare from Pokemon X and Y, and finally the Valedictory Elegy from Baten Kaito's Origins. And so yeah, this guy has put his stamp all over Smash, and he's one of the most well-known video game music composers around. I've been a fan of him for a long time, and as for this rearrangement, it's fine. I mean, it's good. It doesn't really stray too far from the original, in my opinion, but there's nothing wrong with that, and the How to Play theme from Melee is pretty iconic for Smash, and to have it here in kind of a slightly updated form, I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think you kind of hit on it there. Like, I think the song itself is okay. I'm not sure if I will particularly love smashing to it. However, with that being said, I kind of love that they did this. I kind of love that they took such an iconic track and updated it for Smash. I mean, even if the song itself is kind of forgettable, I think, despite it being iconic, just because it was intended as background music for a tutorial. It wasn't meant to stand out. Again, I still kind of love that they really did just kind of ramp it up. Like, they kind of turned the dial up to, I don't know, maybe not 11, but maybe 8 or 9 in this one, and I appreciate that. So
yeah.
When I first saw this for the update for the week, I'm like, really? That's the last song you're going to end on, the How to Play music? Because I'll be honest, I didn't really listen to the How to Play arrangement that much in Melee. I was like, I know what I'm doing, so I never really stuck with it that much.
Derek's an expert.
Exactly. I skipped the tutorial. But, so I was like, oh, okay. But then I listened to it, I'm like, you know what? This is way better than I thought it would be. And I ended up really enjoying it. So, looking at his pedigree, it makes it obvious that, no wonder this guy can turn this song into something so good. But I wouldn't call it my favorite, but it's a good update.
Yeah, you guys kind of hit the nail on the head there. And when you said he composed Dark Souls, Ash, I was actually getting some Dark Souls vibes from this song. It kind of has, like, those... it's quite an epic version of the How to Play rendition, and
it is.
It almost sounds like it could be a Dark Souls boss at sometimes.
I should point out, just for clarity's sake, that Motoi Sakuraba was one of a few composers who composed Dark Souls. He's not the only composer on it, but he teamed up with a few others.
Alright, let's go move on to another update for the day, being a stage overview for Midgar. The description reads, grab the summon materia to call forth powerful beings. If a summon knocks out a fighter, the point is awarded to whoever grabbed the summon materia, so make sure it's you. So yeah, this is a stage that of course first appeared on Wii U along with Cloud as part of the DLC. It's back looking very much the same to me. Although what's interesting is how every stage now has a battlefield form. I don't know if I realized before how this is already effectively just a battlefield stage. So battlefield form looks extremely similar.
Yeah, I mean, it is, even as a Final Fantasy fan, that is essentially what it is. With that said, I adore this stage. It's one of my favorite stages in the game. I love having the Eidolons or the summon monsters appear in the background, and they all look visually awesome. Like, they're so dynamic, and the whole stage changes, the lighting changes. They all just look really cool, especially Bahamut Zero, who's like my favorite, because you have this giant laser coming from the background, and it just completely engulfs the stage. And I don't know, I just think this stage is a lot of fun, because not only you kind of got this juxtaposition between it being a basic battlefield type stage, but you're also fighting for the summon materia, which makes it a lot of fun. And yeah, if there's one complaint I have about this stage, it's the fact that there are only 2 songs still. Come on, Square.
Yeah.
What? Come on. But otherwise, I really do love this stage, and I pick it up.
You know what? It's a miracle we even have a Cloud stage.
Totally
Like,
right.
looking at this, looking at what the state of the representation of Final Fantasy, the fact that we got a stage at all for Cloud, it wasn't just here's the character. Holy crap, and thank God we got the use of summons. Like, it makes the stage stand out a lot more to have those summons, to have those elements of Final Fantasy there, because boy, they're few and far between in this game, and I'll take what I can get, I guess.
And it really is a beautiful looking stage too. Like, you can look off into the distance and see so many pillars of Midgar. But yeah, as you say, the music as well. I mean, there's only 2 songs, and they're ripped straight from the PlayStation original. They're not even new compositions. And they feel really jarring, because it's such a beautiful stage, and then you've got these MIDI tracks. It doesn't fit at all. But yeah, I mean, I guess we should be grateful that we at least have this. It exists. And it is great. Like, all of the materia that just sort of come around and make the stage more dynamic, they're all brilliant. But yeah, I just wish there was more music.
Yeah.
Especially in a game that has over 900 tracks, it really makes Final Fantasy stand out all the more. I mean, every other stage has so many other options. It's a bit of a bummer that Final Fantasy has just 2. And even one of which, only one of which I think really sounds like it fits the stage, so...
Yeah, completely agree, especially when you take into account the fact that, Final Fantasy is known for its music, so if there's any series that was going to be represented by a ton of music, it really should have been Final Fantasy, and nope, Square apparently disagreed.
Not even the Chocobo theme! What is wrong with this?
Not even One Winged Angel. Like, there's, like, so many different, gaps here, and when you look at what they did for Castlevania as far as music and Mega Man as far as music, like, if they just opened that up and allowed it, we could have gotten some fantastic remixes.
Come on, Square, get it together. I better not get just one track when Geno gets added to the game as DLC. I'm gonna be very upset. Alright, moving on to day 4, we got character overview for Mewtwo. The description reads, a legendary Pokemon known for its technical moves. Use Confusion or Disable as a diversion to land a Shadow Ball. For its final smash, Mewtwo transforms into Mega Mewtwo Y and fires a projectile that freezes and launches the opponent. So this is another character I've barely had a chance to use in Smash Bros. Ultimate so far. What do you guys think of him so far, though, if you've had a chance to use him yourself, or fight against him even?
I haven't had a chance to play him yet, but I'm really hopeful based on what I've played for other characters where they all feel like they've been sped up a little bit, and I hope that's the case for Mewtwo, because I remember being so excited in Melee when I unlocked him and being like, awesome, sweet, my favorite Pokemon's in here, I never expected this is awesome, oh god, he's so floaty and I hate him. And it was awful, so I'm so hoping that there's been enough changes that make him not feel as floaty, make him feel as powerful as he should, because this is a character I want to like, but I just don't.
I think he is less floaty. I've not played as him yet, I fought against him though. And my opponent wasn't just flying around everywhere. I mean, he seemed to have better control of his movement. So I can't verify if that's actually true or not, because I've not actually touched him myself, but just based on my opponent's moves, he seems a lot more manageable now.
He, as far as I can tell, I played quite a bit of Mewtwo in Smash 4. I really enjoyed the character in that game. I didn't like him at all in Melee. I thought he sucked. He wasn't fun to play as. I kind of felt like he was a waste of potential, really. But in Smash 4, he felt a lot better. But I will say, Derek, he is still pretty light. He might not be quite as floaty as he was, but he's still fairly floaty, and he's still one of the lighter characters in the game, so that's something you're still going to have to get around. But other than that, he's been made a lot better across the board, and I haven't played as him too much in Ultimate yet, but he feels like he did in Smash 4, just faster like everyone else does, and still really good in my opinion. So I do see Mewtwo being a strong character in Ultimate, as he should be because he's freaking Mewtwo. And I just enjoy playing this character. I have ever since he was added to Smash 4.
I'm hoping, because when I did get the chance to fight him in Pikachu's classic mode, and he did feel faster and a little bit better, so I'm hoping that translates over to when I try him out. But I will never get the sound that his second jump makes. That little whoom. Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
that'll never leave my head as far as sound effects.
Alright, let's go ahead and move on to Day 5, being Thursday, where we had a DLC announcement of Joker from Persona 5. The description reads, his Smash invitation gracefully stolen by the Phantom Thieves of Hearts, Joker begins his preparations. So this is something we've already discussed pretty in depth in a whole discussion that went up a couple of days ago by this point, but now that's been about 24 hours, just a little bit under since it happened. Do you guys have any further thoughts on Joker being in the game? Is it still completely unreal to you that this is happening, that a Persona character is in Smash Bros. Ultimate? And have you thought any more about his moveset at all?
I'm still processing that it exists. Like, I still can't believe it. I've watched the trailer a few more times since then, and it just doesn't feel real. Like, this sets a new precedent, not just for Smash, but for the DLC. Like, anything is on the table now.
And for you, John, you were up until 6 a.m. your time watching the Game Awards, so it probably felt like a dream to you.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was asleep or not.
Yeah, I still can't believe it. I mean, it still feels like a joke, which I realize his name's Joker, so the obvious pun there, but I can't believe this is actually happening. It's great. You know, like I said, there was past precedent for Final Fantasy in terms of it being one of the most iconic, the most iconic JRPG franchise, and then Persona, of course, is really popular, but it's not necessarily, not on that level of Final Fantasy, but apparently that doesn't matter, and we got Persona and Smash, Joker's coming, and I think that is absolutely awesome, and I can't wait to see how he plays.
No, I'm the same way. It's still unreal that this happened, and there's so much potential here that hopefully Atlas doesn't act like Square, and we can get a lot of songs and a lot of good remixes, or even if we don't get remixes, just the base songs, just get them in there. I'll be happy. And the thing is, there's so much potential for his moveset, as we stated in the last discussion. Like, I cannot narrow down his moveset because he has so much available to him. Like, you can maybe get a few, but there is endless possibilities when it comes to what you do with Joker in a moveset. And I really can't wait to see his model and see, the taunts and all that stuff. And I'm loving all the fan art I've seen so far of, like, Kirby with the Phantom Mask on. So, when he takes his power, like, I think people have really gravitated towards this character, and that's great to see.
And, this is Sega's third character, too, because they have Sonic and Bayonetta in Smash already. So this is technically their third rep, because they do co-own Bayonetta. So that's a great sign towards music, because both of those franchises have great music representation in Smash. So hopefully we'll get some tracks from not just Persona 5, but also Persona 4 and 3.
So I wonder, with Atlas being kind of copyright crazy on YouTube, if they'll be striking like every YouTube or every Smash Brothers video with its music.
Yeah, it's kind of a scary thought, because they do get kind of trigger happy with their claims, and yeah, it's possible. I guess it really just depends on, as Derek was saying, are they actually going to allow a lot of music into Smash? Because if not, then there won't be anything for them to claim, kind of like Square. But hopefully it's the opposite, and we get a ton of Persona music. And on top of that, hopefully they won't go crazy with their content ID claims.
Yeah, that'd be nice. So one of the cooler things about the Joker announcement was the timing, in that it was announced literally just half an hour before the release of the game in North America. And that brings us to Day 6. This one is about the release announcement, and it says, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for the Nintendo Switch launches today. Fighters from across genres and 20 years of gaming have gathered to battle. Which fighter will you choose first? So I guess we have to answer that question. Who did you choose first? Wait, there weren't many options.
Yeah, exactly.
I know, considering you have to choose one of the original
Mario.
Yeah, I chose Mario too.
Oh no, Yoshi.
You lied. I chose Mario first. I always got to start with Mario, so...
I had to start with Kirby.
I wanted to choose Link, but I bombarded Andre's stream, and when you go online, it defaults to Mario. Like, the online setup within the... what's it called? The...
Battle Arena or something?
Yeah. Oh no, if you clicked on your character in the bottom right, you could have changed your character.
Right, you can, yeah, but because the Battle Arena is an entirely new UI, I wasn't entirely sure how you did that. It took a little bit of experimenting to figure out how to actually change my character in there. So I stuck with Mario for there. But, Link was my intended first character, but Mario was my actual first character.
I had to go with Kirby. Just he's my favorite Nintendo character ever, and so of the original 8, it's always got to be Kirby for me.
Nice. Yeah, it's pretty crazy that Smash is finally here. It happened all so quickly, I think. I mean, I saw one of my friends on Twitter post, Smash Brothers is finally here. I'm like, what are you talking about finally? It feels like we just heard about this game for the first time a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem that long ago when we were breaking down that Inkling trailer, right? That seems like just yesterday.
Yeah,
It all happened
wild.
within 2018. That's the insane part.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy to think
Yeah.
that even 6 months ago, we didn't know that it was Smash Brothers Ultimate. We only knew that Smash Brothers was coming for Switch, but we didn't know everyone is here.
Right.
We didn't know it would be called Ultimate, and that was only 6 months ago.
It's been something else to try to cover this game and keep that under wraps, and you sending over all the footage to compile, and it's been an interesting week.
Yeah, it's been a very
Yes.
busy week. It was so hard not to discuss the game at all. I mean, in that, so Nintendo's embargo for this game was particularly restrictive. We couldn't even mention we had the game. We couldn't tease a review. We couldn't give embargo timings at all. So, by the way, if you saw anyone doing that, that means they probably weren't using an actual proper review copy. Just heads up there. But yeah, it's nice to finally be able to talk about this game. We can finally play it with everyone. I can't wait for us to start up some proper streams for this game, like battling you guys in it. So
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun.
Can't
I'm
wait.
looking forward to that.
So do you guys think this is the final blog entry, or do you think they'll have more? I mean, they covered every character except for Game & Watch in North America, oddly. What else is left? I mean, I feel like we have to have at least a more final entry, like concluding the blog, right? So, and I guess
Right.
there will be the DLC characters too.
True. In the grand scheme of things, we've not really had that many stage overviews. I mean, there's no way we've had 103 stages, right?
No, not even close.
Oh, yeah.
So if they intend
Yeah.
to do that, then they're going to be blog entries for weeks to come.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like there's going to be more anyway.
Yeah, I guess it kind of defeats the purpose when the game's
Yeah.
out, though, because you can just go in the game and experience it yourself.
I mean, they kept it going for a few, like for Brawl and Wii U after it came out, but it was still never felt quite the same because it was all information you kind of knew. Or in Brawl's case, they were going over how to play and all this other stuff that sort of like get your feet wet with the game. And for me, they'll probably maybe continue it for a week and then have updates whenever we get like Joker or something like that actually shown off with a trailer. But I think for the most part this is it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this will be the very last blog update, but I do think they're going to go from a daily update schedule or at least a week daily update schedule to, kind of like a special event update schedule. So when the next DLC character gets announced, they'll do an update. When Joker gets formally revealed and we see some of his moveset, he'll get a fighter page on the fighters part of the blog. But I do think we're probably done with the scheduled daily updates.
So I guess that means that we are at the end of our weekly discussions, right? Like, this is it. We're at the end again.
It's crazy.
Isn't it?
Weird.
It feels like they went so fast.
It does. It really does. I'm actually having memories of the last time we reached the conclusion of our weekly discussions for Smash Bros. Wii U, which also doesn't feel all that long ago either.
Yeah,
No, that was 2014.
Yeah, it was. It's
Right,
wild.
which is crazy. How has it already been 4 years since Smash 4? That's just nuts to me.
Yeah. So with this very likely being the end of our weekly discussion, since I don't know what else we'd be discussing after this point, we have what might be a particularly fitting question from Adam, one of our Patreon backers, which, by the way, I would normally say if you backed us for $1 a month on Patreon, you could ask us questions about Smash Brothers and we may answer it in an upcoming discussion. But since we are at the end of our weekly discussions, I'm not sure we'll keep doing that or not. Maybe we'll find some way to tie in more. So don't back us with the intent of asking Smash Brothers questions, even if we may do more. But you can still back us for $1 a month in order to get early access to the podcast 3 days early. Anyways, with that out of the way, let's get to the question from Adam, who asks, with these updates wrapping up, it's time to get retrospective. How do you feel about the Ultimate blog as compared to previous iterations? Information is mostly spread in rapid bursts during directs instead of trickling out through the blog. Both in terms of generating coverage for discussions and of generating hype as fans, how effective was it this time? What would you change for the next one? Well, regardless of how you felt in the end, I enjoyed your discussions of them all. Thanks all, Adam. Well, thank you, Adam, and all of you for asking questions and for following us along this journey. It's been a lot of fun. I know a lot of people, I saw some people even say they preferred hearing our wrap-ups every week than actually reading the blog entries and seeing the directs, which is nuts to me, but I appreciate
Yeah.
the kind words. So yeah, how did you guys feel in general about the blog this time? Because it was a bit different compared to past ones, in which we almost never had any new actual information from the blog, aside from the very occasional tidbit, with the only truly new content coming in the form of the music updates every week, which was cool. So what did you guys think, though?
It's hard to classify, really, because as you said, like, as far as information, these blogs were probably the weakest, because there wasn't anything really that new. It was mainly like, here's this thing that you've known about, now you get a chance to talk about it and give your thoughts. And the music really was the only new thing we were getting. But we got a lot more music this time around than we ever did in the past ones, and that raises the bar for me, because that, just hearing more and more of the soundtrack was so exciting. And I don't know where I'd classify it for compared to the others, at least right at this moment. But I think for what Nintendo was doing in the modern day, because they didn't have directs back in Brawl. They kind of had them during the Wii U era, and you get a lot more information about that. But you still have these fun little poses or thoughts there. But they were also not really as informative, so we had to struggle a little bit to talk about them more. So I feel like these blogs were probably better than the Wii U era, but not quite to the level of the Brawl era. But that's also an aspect of that time frame, again, because there were no directs. This is how we got our big information.
Yeah, you can't tell the Sonic reveal on the Brawl blog.
Yeah, and I do miss that element. Like, I actually really did enjoy the Smash Ultimate blog and the fact that you would just get more context for things we already knew about every day, and it was, fun finding out what the update would be for that day, which characters got covered. But I do kind of miss the Smash 4 update style where literally any update could be a surprise. It could be a new stage. Like, I still remember I think it was the night that the Paper Mario stage was revealed for Smash 3DS, and I'm like, that's a cool surprise. And same thing with, like, returning veterans. Like, I think I remember the night that King Dedede was confirmed for Smash 4, and I'm like, those little surprises here and there in the form of some blog updates were really fun. However, that would not have jived with the way Nintendo was trying to hype up Smash Ultimate. They were going for a different style of hype this time around by revealing everything beforehand, and I can respect that, and I can see why they did it, and that wouldn't have worked well with the Smash 4 style blog updates. So I think, even though the Smash 4 blog updates were, I think, maybe a little more surprising and a little more fun on an individual basis, I do think the solution they came up with for the Smash Ultimate blog updates, in the way that they were revealing everything beforehand, it was still a lot of fun in that context.
I guess in retrospect, the Smash Dojo for Brawl had some very weak entries. Like, sometimes you go on and it'll be Sonic, and other times you go on and it'll be like, this is a Starman. If you touch it, you'll become invincible. See you tomorrow. And then, like, some updates were really weak compared to others. And there's even some where it's like, it's teaching how to recover, and that's not even really...
Yeah, I was going to say, you must recover. I'll never forget that update, because it was the lamest one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes it was really underwhelming.
It was like a gacha game.
Yeah.
So I think actually I prefer Ultimates. I think it's as Derek said, it's a different context, it's a different time. They reveal things in directs now rather than just sort of trickling out one by one. And yeah, that works. We learn information in bulk now rather than just having it day by day. So in the context of time, I think I do prefer Ultimate.
It's tough to compare because, yeah, I mean, if you look at the overall way in which they announce content for these games, I mean, I agree. I think I prefer how they handle it with Ultimate because I like the big blowouts during directs and whatnot. But if you consider just the blogs themselves compared to how they compared to the past entries, I think Ultimate was by far the weakest of the three we've had so far. I mean, honestly, if it weren't for these weekly discussions, I probably wouldn't even bother looking at the blog, aside from maybe on Wednesday for the music updates. The rest of the time, it was all... I mean, here's an easy way I think they could have improved it. Instead of posting every character overview on the day of E3, they should have saved those and have the blog entries be the true reveal of these character overview trailers, which were necessary. We got a glimpse of all of them before. So I wish they had struck maybe a slightly better balance, have a few more interesting entries, like, cover, maybe some assist trophies that weren't in the E3 build that were coming up, though, in the future, for instance, instead of saving those for a direct. Because I feel like assist trophies get kind of overlooked anyway. Like, who really cares that much when you can talk about Incineroar or Simon or any number of other newcomers instead, right? So I think those would have been perfect for blog entries, and save the characters, of course, for the directs.
Yeah, I actually think you brought up a great point there. I think it would have been maybe a better approach, even if they were going to reveal everybody at the E3 trailer. Just hold on to those character trailers, and then you kind of preserve that excitement element of like, okay, I know all these characters are coming back, but I don't know exactly yet how they look or how they feel in the game itself. And I think holding on to the trailers until each character got their blog update might have been a lot more exciting for people.
I also would have liked if they covered some of the unique costumes. Like Yoshi's Crafted World, we found out about that costume through a Nintendo asset library. They never actually talked about it in the blog itself. If they showed us that render as part of a blog update, that would have been really noteworthy. But instead, we find out about it just through a random asset.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely ways they could have made it a little bit more exciting to talk about, or something that aligned along those lines. Like, I would have appreciated like small snippets showing the assist trophies in action. Kind of like how we got the characters. Like, I feel like that would have helped them a lot in the same way. Or, same with Pokemon, or it's even like, hey, here's this item, here's a little video showing it and like what it does. It gives you a little bit better context than just reading and seeing a picture. So there's definitely ways they could have improved upon it, but I also understand the idea of like, get it all up there, get people to appreciate it right away, and like, you want to know about this character? Here you go. So it's a weird balance.
So what specifically would you guys change for the next one? I know we kind of touched on that a little bit with how we may have improved Ultimates, but I guess moving forward, for whatever the next Smash Brothers may be, if there is one, there will be. What form would you like the blog entries to take, if there's one at all?
Well, that's hard, because I feel like no matter what, they're going to continue going with the Nintendo Direct style of reveals. I think we're beyond the point where any Smash game is going to be, have its content fully revealed over the course of blog updates. Nintendo's the Directs are here to stay, and that's great also, because I love Directs and I love Direct reveals. So I do, as much as I didn't prefer Ultimate style of blog updates where you don't really learn anything new, I do kind of feel like that has to be the blueprint going forward, because again, I don't see them going back to a style where they drip feed information via blog updates. I feel like they're going to keep.
Well, it's not what Nintendo would do. It's what would you change for the next one?
I think I would personally reserve some more surprises for the blog updates. Maybe not everything, but I think that I would probably make it so that the blog updates are a vehicle for delivering brand new information as well as information we already know about.
I would talk about the game more, the actual gameplay. A lot of people were surprised that you could charge up your smash attacks for a long time, because they never really talked about that.
How do you do this, John? Every time you take my talking point. Go on.
Nice.
I'm just looking at your notes, Andre.
It's because John lives in the future.
I guess that must be it.
Yeah, it's true, exactly. I've already heard it. But yeah, I would talk about things like, changing the air dodges, the speed of the game, like being able to like go into a hop immediately. Just talk about stuff like that, because that was just kept from us. Like, some people learned about it through just watching gameplay, but yeah, they never really talked about it in the blog. So I think they should just talk about the game more.
Yeah,
'cause that's what people are going to be playing.
Mechanically, I absolutely agree. Talk about the mechanics of the game a little bit more, because you guys were making fun of the blog entry earlier for Brawl, where you have to recover. But I kind of like those little, maybe not that one specific, but I did like those little, sometimes sillier updates, but also the ones that describe the gameplay a little bit more. And there are so many small changes in Ultimate that they really, I think, could have focused on that would have also helped curb the whole, is it a port question? Even if I thought the answer was pretty clear from the get-go. But yeah, like, I would have loved to have known about like how if you grab a ledge too many times, and now instantly drop, or if you hang out on the spawn platform too long, you no longer, like, you lose the invulnerability when you drop onto the actual arena. Like, that's all really interesting stuff, and that would have been fun for us to chew on for these discussions. Don't get me wrong, I love these discussions regardless. It was fun to do, but it would have been nice to have those little tidbits and learn more about how the game actually plays and controls.
Yeah, I agree. And what's funny is that some, not all, but some of that information that we all just went over is available on the website, but they didn't get blog entries, so you wouldn't know it. It is like, stuff about going straight into a short hop attack. That is listed in the advanced techniques section of the website, but because they weren't actually covered in the forward-facing blog updates, most people might never know that.
And that was covered in the direct too, I believe.
It was.
So that might be why.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, so was everything else on the blog except for music. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have nothing more to say. You guys pretty much covered it. Like, maybe a few new reveals, and keep it minor. Like, here's this stage, or here's this assist trophy or Pokemon, or a new item and stuff like that. But leave characters, and have those overviews and whatnot, but still maintain like mechanics. I think that's a really good idea, and serves the purpose of getting still being interesting, because I think we've reached a point where people do want to know the mechanics and are interested enough to like see what's changed in that way, rather than just showing new content as far as like what's in the game.
Yeah, I think more mechanics, a few more surprises. I mean, I don't even need that many. Just like put a couple of them in there a month, maybe, like something to entice us to keep returning to the blog. And also, I kind of mentioned earlier, but like I really do like those silly little updates, especially if they were interspersed among the more factual ones. But I thought the blog entries this time were a little bit dry, especially compared to both of the previous generations. These ones felt very matter of fact and didn't feel very like fun to read, honestly.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I kind of wish it'd been a little bit more playful with them, because I felt like, especially with the Miiverse ones, I felt like we really got some of Sakurai's personality coming through in those, whereas I got no sense of that this time.
Yeah, I completely agree, because you got the sense, and I think it's because it's true, that those screenshots in the Smash 4 era were handpicked by Sakurai, and he personally commented on them, where for Smash Ultimate, you feel like it's kind of gone through a filter, where what you're reading doesn't come straight from Sakurai, but is, pre-approved company copy. Basically.
And to be fair, that might be because Sakurai just did not have time for it, or didn't want to. Yeah, I don't blame him for that. I just wish they'd been able to capture that spirit a little bit more, right? Like that a little bit more playful nature of Smash for these updates. So
keep the music updates though; those are good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they go.
So with that, I think that brings us to the end of our discussion. So thank you so much for the fantastic question, Adam. I guess before we go, do you guys have any final parting thoughts you want to throw out there with this being what I think is the end of our Smash Brothers weekly discussions? Not the end of our Smash discussions. There'll be plenty more of those, I'm sure, including in general, our overall thoughts on the game, more character overviews, I'm sure. But when it comes to the weekly ones, I think we're done. So do you guys have any final thoughts you want to get out there?
Just 3 words. Zelda is great.
Agreed. Like, she is, I've really enjoyed seeing how each of the characters have been updated, and some of them in surprising ways, and to the point where I'm like, ooh, I really like this, and I did not expect that. So I'm looking forward to trying out more of the characters, getting through that, seeing what the game has to offer, seeing if Andre's right about World of Light being a grind. At least
I'm always right there.
I don't know about that. But no, as far as doing these discussions themselves, it's going to be weird not doing them anymore, and it's going to feel like a little bit of a gap there, but I am looking forward to kicking our fans' butts online.
Nice. I will echo what you both said about Zelda. She is great. I love the changes made to her in this game, and I will say that I'm actually going to miss these in kind of a unique way, because I was the one responsible for putting together the Google Docs, kind of organizing this information every week, and as part of that, I did my own research into every new music composer done for the rearrangements every week. And that was kind of fun for me. It was like a personal research project where I'd go in and research the composers so I could then talk about them in that section of each discussion. And frankly, I'm going to miss that. It was kind of cool learning about all these different composers. I'm going to continue doing that anyway. But yeah, I'm going to miss that element of it. And it was kind of fun gathering that information and learning new things about these musicians that I hadn't previously. So I'm going to miss these discussions.
Maybe it's time to start up a new music feature where you explain the composer's background.
That's true.
And talk more about the music, right?
Yeah, that's possible.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, and with that, I think we're actually finally done here. It feels pretty weird, or it's pretty wild that the game is finally out, that we're all playing it, and we'll be talking more about this game in the future. But yeah, it's a little bit bittersweet coming to the end. It'll be nice not having to find time to make these every week. At the same time, it was fun to do. So... and finally, I want to thank all of you for sticking with us, following our weekly discussions, and giving us all the kind words and feedback. And we can't wait to see you again for the next Smash Brothers, whenever that might be. Possibly 4 years from now, maybe longer. We'll see. And with that, thanks for watching. Of course, stay tuned to GameXplain for lots more on Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and everything else Nintendo Switch as well. We'll catch you later. Bye.